This is 5-Minute Power Platform. Today we're going to talk about importing and using a custom connector that someone else wrote. In particular, we're going to use one that I wrote that queries US Government Contractor data from the GSA database. Just to give you an idea of the type of data we'll be querying, this is an example of a version of it on the web. If I search for Microsoft here, it's going to find all of the Microsoft entities that are registered with the federal government and then a bunch of additional details about them. This data is provided open source through an API, and so that's what I built a custom connector on top of. Now, to get the custom connector, you'll come here to this GitHub that I've linked in the description, and you'll save out the icon here. So I'll click on this and choose to download it and save that to a directory. And then also from GitHub, the Swagger file, this JSON here, choose raw, and then save that out. And then you'll need an API, an API key. The API keys are free and they're available here. Back from the GitHub page, you can see the link to the API key. So the API key requires a first name and last name, an email address, and then you sign up. Once you sign up, you'll get an email like this one that has your key, and that's the key that I'll be using for the remainder of this demo. So let's start here in Power Automate. I'm going to go into Custom Connectors. I'm going to do New Custom Connectors. I'm going to import an open API file from a file. And so let's call this GSA SAM. And then I'll import that JSON file that we just downloaded. Here it is. And click Continue. We'll apply the icon here. That just dresses it up a little bit. And then go to Security. And everything should be set from when I created this. And then go to Test. So when you test it, we'll create the connector. And that'll actually give you the connector. And so now the connector will exist in our list of custom connectors. And then we'll create a new connection here. And this is where it asks for our API key. So we'll copy this in here, paste this, and then refreshing, we should have a connection listed here that we can then test. And so now we can search companies here. Let's search here for Microsoft. And we see we get a JSON package back that has all the data. So this is up and running. So now let's build a simple app on top of it. So from here, let's go into PowerApps. So we want to make sure we're in the same environment that we created the custom connector because they are environment specific. And let's create a tablet-sized Power App, and this will just be GSA test. And we'll just set this up so that we can query the list just like we did on that website. So let's insert a text input box here. And this will be our text search. And a button next to it that will then execute the search. We'll just call this one search. We'll call you button search. And then let's clear out the default here. The hint will be the company name. That's what's going to go in here. And then let's put a table below it, and this will be the list of companies that gets returned. So this will be table company list. Now let's get our connection in here. So here in my list of connectors, I can see GSA SAM because we just added it. So I'm going to click that to add that to our project. So now we can see it's called SAM. And then let's make the search button take whatever the company name is and search it. And so we're going to return that to a variable called company list. So we'll do var company list. And that's going to equal to SAM search. We've got two parameters on the SAM, search and find company. Search is going to query by name. Find company is going to take the identifier and give all the details. And so we'll do search, and then we'll do whatever text company list or text search dot text. So whatever's in our query box. Let's get back here so we can see it. And then let's just run this a test. We'll just put in Microsoft here. Search. You can see it's running. And then we come up here and we look at our variables. And we see that we have a list of records under results. So there's our results. So because they're under results, let's actually set that variable to be the results. And so we'll just be directly into that table. That'll save us one step below. Now the items for this table then, this is going to be our var company list. So let's bind that there. And then let's edit the fields and we'll show, let's see, the legal business name, the DUNS and cage codes, two different identifiers for these companies. So now if we search again, we can see that it's already worked and we've got results there. So now let's be able to show the detail as well for one of these. And so let's set up another table and some other fields. And let's add in some labels, and we'll have the company name over here, company name, and then we'll add on another one. We'll do company contact. And there are also, let's put these over here. Let's so these will be labels. Let's put in fields over here where we can actually put the values. And there's address, multiple addresses and all that in here, but just keeping this simple. Let's bold these guys since they're labels. Get rid of the text here. And then there's also something called NAIC code, which is another set of identifiers that categorize these companies. Let's put a subtable of the NAIC codes here. And so we'll put another table down here. And this table will be table NAIC. And so now then, let's make it so that when I click on one of these names, it's going to populate a variable, then that will populate all this. Now the on-click on here, so we'll do this on select. We're going to set a variable that is the DUNS number, because the query for the SAM API uses what's called a DUNS number. And so we're going to set that here. So we'll just call this DUNS number. And to do this, we're going to concatenate two of the two properties of the selected item in the table. And this is going to be both the DUNS number, but then we need a 4-digit version of the DUNS number, which is called the DUNS plus 4. And so that 4-digit suffix is the DUNS plus 4. And so we're going to concatenate both of those. Now this is going to return a string, and actually the API is expecting a value, a number, so we're going to do the value of those, and that's going to convert that string into a number. And then the second thing we're going to add on here is then we're going to then set the results of that API, and so we're going to call this the company result. That's going to be equal to the results of calling the SAM API for find company. And find company takes one parameter. It takes that long 13-digit DUN number. And so let's try this again. So we should be able to now, when we click on one of these, we'll click on this one, Microsoft Corporation, we see it's running, and it should populate that DUNS number variable. Then more than that, it should go in and get the company details. So there's our DUNS number and our company result record. So now we have all of the detail about that selected company. And we see that most of the data is under the registration, and so we're going to bind to that. And so let's actually update this variable so that when we click on it, we're actually not, our company result is actually going to be under the .registration table. SAM data registration. So that way it'll be a little easier to get to. And then we can start using this data. And so of our company results, we're going to have the company name, legal business name, and then the company contact. Let's just copy this. And then we've got the POC, the government business POC, and then we've got many properties for them. We'll just put their email there. And then here we've got the list of NAIC codes. We'll do the NAICS table here. And like we did before, we'll just populate some fields. We've got name and code. And there we go. So now let's try this again. We can search for another company. Let's search for Accenture, search. We can see here, choose one of those, it populates over here and it populates these. We can start clicking through multiple ones and we'll see them update as well. So what that was is a very quick overview of how to import a custom connector, but then also how to build a quick application on top of this particular one, this GSA SAM connector that I built. I hope this was useful to you. Thanks for watching.